Revised script, punctuation and clarity polished. The waitress slipped the CEO a note. Don't drink it. Leave now. He grabbed her hand and said quietly, come with me. The ballroom of the Waldorf Astoria shimmered with opulence. Gilded chandeliers hung like crowns from the vaulted ceilings, casting a soft golden hue over the sea of tuxedos and satin gowns. A string quartet played a gentle waltz in the corner, and laughter echoed beneath the crystal lights as servers glided through the crowd with silver trays of champagne and hors d'oeuvres. Tonight was a celebration. Aliocyte Technologies had just gone public in one of the most successful IPOs of the decade, and the world was watching. Investors, tech giants, and media elites had gathered to raise their glasses in honor of the company's meteoric rise. At the center of it all stood Jonathan Raines, 32, the enigmatic CEO and founder. Clad in a tailored black tuxedo, he looked every bit the part, confident, composed, magnetic. Yet behind the surface, his eyes told a quieter story. There was exhaustion in the lines at the corners of his mouth, tension in his jaw, years of pressure, of expectations, of fighting to prove himself. Raised in a New Jersey orphanage, Jonathan had fought his way out with nothing but a scholarship, a brilliant mind, and the kind of relentless will that left no room for failure. Now he stood atop the tech world. But even at the pinnacle, he felt something deeper, a disquiet he could not ignore. At the edge of the ballroom, Aurora Lane, 24, moved quietly among the guests, a tray balanced effortlessly in one hand. Her blonde ponytail bounced with every step, neat, professional. But her eyes, green and sharp, held something else beneath the surface. Worry, urgency, fear. She wasn't just a waitress. She worked nights at the Waldorf to support her 6-year-old sister, Maya, who waited in the staff room down the hall, swinging her legs from a bench in her pink dress. Aurora had promised she'd be back in time to walk her home after the event. But something had changed tonight. Moments earlier, she had overheard a conversation in the staff corridor, something not meant to be heard. Men speaking in hushed, urgent tones about a plan, a name, Jonathan Raines, and a drink. Aurora's hands trembled slightly, but she steadied herself. There was no time to hesitate. She moved through the crowd, weaving past guests, her heart pounding in her chest. Jonathan had just stepped toward the podium, a champagne flute in hand. A toast was coming. Aurora moved faster. Just as he raised the glass, she approached, stumbling slightly. "Oh, I'm so sorry," she gasped, tilting her tray just enough to bump into his arm. Champagne splashed onto the floor, speckling his sleeve. Jonathan flinched, startled, but composed. "I'm terribly sorry, sir," she said quickly, lowering her tray and pulling a cloth from her pocket. She dabbed at his sleeve with one hand, awkward, apologetic. With the other, unseen by all around them, she slipped a small folded note into his palm. She didn't wait for acknowledgement. Backing away, still apologizing, she disappeared into the crowd before he could speak. Jonathan stared after her, then looked down at the note in his hand. He unfolded it slowly, the paper warm from her touch. 4 words stared back at him, scrawled in hurried handwriting. "Do not drink. Leave now. They know you found out the truth." The words hit harder than the champagne. His breath caught. He looked up at the room, at the smiling, laughing faces, but suddenly everything felt different. The glances lingered too long. The smiles seemed sharper. The air felt thicker. The ballroom was no longer a place of celebration. It was a stage, and Jonathan realized he was the only one who didn't know his part. He folded the note, slipped it into his inner jacket pocket, and looked up. Across the room, he spotted her, the waitress with the blonde ponytail, slipping toward the far corner. Without drawing attention, he placed the untouched champagne flute on the table, then stepped down from the podium. Calm, deliberate, unhurried. To anyone watching, it looked as if he was simply mingling. Aurora reached the edge of the room near the staff corridor when she heard a low voice behind her. "Don't turn around," Jonathan murmured. "I read your note." Aurora stiffened, her fingers gripping the tray. "I need you to come with me," he continued. "We'll talk, but not here." He reached for her hand. She looked up, startled. His face gave nothing away, just a steady nod. Without another word, they walked together toward the back of the ballroom. Jonathan smiled faintly, the picture of ease. Aurora followed, her heart pounding. A board member stepped into their path, smirking. "Sneaking away already, Jonathan." Jonathan didn't release her hand. "Just giving my guest here a quick tour," he replied smoothly. The man raised a brow. "A tour?" Jonathan slipped an arm around Aurora's waist, leaning close as if whispering something flirty. "Too many eyes," he said under his breath. "Not enough air." The man chuckled. "Fair enough. Don't miss your big toast." "Wouldn't dream of it," Jonathan replied, winking. They slipped through the side doors into a dim hallway. Music and laughter faded behind them. "Where's the service elevator?" he asked. Aurora pointed silently. They moved quickly, Her steps light, his steady. Inside the elevator, the doors closed with a soft chime. Aurora leaned against the wall, breath quick. Jonathan pressed the button for the basement. "Talk," he said. Aurora nodded. Her voice trembled but stayed firm. "I overheard two men talking in the VIP lounge, one of them on your board, I think. They said you found something you weren't supposed to. One of them said, 'It ends tonight.'" Jonathan's jaw clenched. "I wasn't supposed to be there," she continued. "But I took a shortcut. The door was open just a crack." One said, "Once he drinks, we move forward." I couldn't ignore it. I didn't know if you'd believe me. He turned to her. Gratitude flickered in his eyes. "You did the right thing," he said quietly. The elevator dinged. The doors opened into the shadowy service corridor below. Jonathan stepped out first, scanning the hall. "Come on," he said. "We don't have long." They slipped into a dim storage room filled with folded banquet chairs and crates of bottled water. The hum of the boiler echoed faintly. Aurora's heart thudded. "Tell me everything," Jonathan said. Aurora took a breath and told him what she'd heard. Mr. Cobburn, a board member, talking about him, about a report, and about making sure his champagne would be his last. Jonathan listened, silent. When she finished, he turned away, bracing his hands on a shelf. "I knew something was wrong," he said finally. "I just didn't realize how far they'd go." He explained how he'd discovered inconsistencies in one of their subsidiary accounts, a charity branch, money siphoned off through fake vendors. "I traced enough to know it wasn't a mistake. It was deliberate. I thought I had time to expose it." Aurora stepped closer. "But someone found out." Jonathan nodded grimly. 3 days ago, I got an anonymous message. Drop it, or you'll regret it. I thought it was empty." Aurora's hands trembled. "If I hadn't overheard." "You did," he interrupted gently. "You acted. You warned me. That may have saved my life tonight." Their eyes met. Above them, faint music echoed from the ballroom. Down here, everything felt colder. He took a breath. "We can't go back up there," Aurora whispered. "No," Jonathan said. "But we're not running either." He held up her note. "This changes everything. We move carefully, and together." She nodded. "I can get you out," he added. Aurora hesitated. "I can't leave yet. My sister, Maya, she's waiting by the back entrance. I told her I'd be done by 10. Jonathan's expression softened. "She's here." Aurora nodded. "I don't have anyone else." He looked toward the door. "Then we go get her." They navigated narrow corridors, every step careful. Jonathan led her through the stairwell, down to a quiet employee exit that opened into the alley behind the hotel. The night air was sharp and cold.